Forest of Shadows. Darkness does not only bring the night, sometimes it whispers the silence within you. Chapter 1, The Silence of Late Autumn. As 1923 approached its final days, deep in a remote corner of northern Russia, nestled amidst the misty plains of Vologda Oblast, there lay a small, forgotten village, Viritsk. This village's existence made sense only because of the endless forests surrounding it. On some maps, its name was absent; to cartographers, it was a mystery; to legends, a whisper. Autumn came to Viritsk with heavy steps. Once it arrived, it never left. For months, the rustling of fallen leaves mingled with the moaning of the wind wrapped in fog. Shadows dancing beneath the street lamps stretched unnaturally long, sometimes inhuman. In this village lived a solitary man, Matvey Korolev. Born in Petrograd, he had abandoned art school in his youth, and after the war years, one night he came to this village. No one knew why, and no one dared to ask. His thick brows, long lashes, and dark eyes held an endless void. He rarely left his home, but when he did, he always carried a notebook or a rolled canvas. Matvey painted the forest. But his paintings reflected not the forest as it was seen, but something deeper beneath. Trees twisted, their trunks resembling human limbs, branches curled downward away from the sky. The sky was never blue in his paintings, it was always gray or rust-colored. And in every canvas, in the farthest corner, something was cunningly hidden, sometimes a faceless visage, sometimes a spiral-shaped stone, sometimes a pair of upside-down footprints. Chapter 2, The Whisper at the Forest's Edge. One October night, when the village was enveloped in mist, Matvey sat at his workshop window. Behind the old wooden frame, the forest stretched endlessly like a shadow. There was no moon in the sky. The lantern's light bounced off the mist, returning as its own reflection. Suddenly, he noticed something, a clearing in the trees. He had never seen this clearing before. It was in the middle of paths he walked every day but seemed to have appeared only that night. He put down his brush and took his coat. Outside, the air was dry and cold. Dry leaves crackled under his feet. As the fog thickened, he realized he was losing his way, but he did not turn back. The forest was calling him. The faceless, spiral-headed figure did not leave his mind. When he reached the clearing, he saw strange markings on the ground. Lines resembling runic scripts, but not belonging to any alphabet, were carved into the earth. The stones around it were covered with these signs as well. In the very center stood a hut built from gray stones, moss-covered and partially collapsed. It seemed someone or something had hidden it outside of time. The door creaked open. Inside, everything was covered in dust. But on the floor lay an old notebook. He reached for it, opening pages filled with Cyrillic letters, but the handwriting was tangled and hard to decipher. The sounds increase at night. The walls breathe. Behind the door, someone is there but there is no door. At the bottom of the pages were drawings, a spiral altar surrounded by motionless bodies. On the altar stood a silhouette. Matvey took the notebook. When he left the hut, the sky was no longer black, it was fiery red. Chapter 3, The Return of the Painter. When he returned to the village, morning had come. But the streets were silent. No one was there. The old woman waiting in front of the bakery was gone. No children's laughter. It was as if everyone had fallen silent or were listening. He examined the notebook. Inside was a map, marked with symbols, stars, and stone structures. Everything pointed toward the center of the altar. And in red ink at the bottom, Temnovidets. Dark seer, Was it a name being that night? Matt Beatty could not sleep. Behind his eyelids, spirals, dark silhouettes, and the altar's figure rose. When he breathed, it felt like another breath was coming with his own. Chapter 4, Following the Altar. 4 days, Matt Beatty studied the map. The notes were inconsistent, the drawings distorted, but a pattern emerged. All roads, symbols, and shapes led to a stone altar said to lie deep within the forest. This place, unspoken among villagers, was the heart in the shadow. Now it had become Matt Beatty's sole obsession. He prepared a lantern, dry bread, a water flask, and an old Russian Orthodox cross. But neither prayers, crosses, nor reason would work in the forest. On the second morning, he reached the three-fingered tree marked on the map. Indeed, a pine split into 3 trunks, its roots revealing a stony passage beneath, carved with symbols resembling the spiral figures haunting his dreams. The stones were no longer inert, they felt alive, like countless eyes watching him. Passing through, the air chilled. The fog thickened. A melody hummed in his ears like a corrupted lullaby in a twisted Slav tongue. Then the altar appeared. Chapter 5, The Spiral Stones. Vibrations emanated from the altar, from deep beneath the earth. The stone floor was carved into a perfect circle. In the center lay a flat, gray-black platform. Surrounding it were evenly spaced columns, etched with faceless heads, figures with reversed hands, and priests without faces. At the altar's center, the wind suddenly ceased. All stopped, no birds, no rustling leaves, no time. Yet the stones beneath his feet trembled slightly. Something approached. A shadow formed at the altar's outer ring, slowly taking human shape, tall, thin, faceless, with a spiral void where its head should be. It held an ancient palette, devoid of colors, only shades of black. Matt Beatty locked eyes though there were none. The spiral spun. And as it spun, his head began to spin too. He was pulled inward. He sank to his knees and closed his eyes. And the dream began. Chapter 6, The Lost Village. When he awoke, the altar was empty. But he was no longer alone. The village barracks appeared just beyond the altar. It was an illusion, such a view was impossible from the altar's place. Yet it was there. Buildings, church, bakery, all. But silent. Frozen in time. The villagers did not move, their faces expressionless, all turned toward the altar. Waiting. On the altar lay another notebook, a continuation, but written in Matt Beatty's own handwriting, which he did not remember writing. Every sentence was familiar. The faceless came to me. They gave me their palette. I am no longer a painter. I am the new language of the shadow. Returning to his village, he found everything changed. People avoided eye contact. Old Yakov lowered his gaze. Children whispered and fled. A faint spiral mark appeared on Matt Beatty's forehead. No one asked. That night, he found a strange mark on his wall. A spiral. Below it, written in Cyrillic, "You are born in the shadow now." Chapter 7, Those Who Come from the Shadow. Matt Beatty began waking in the night, only not just waking, but becoming someone else. His body moved beyond his will. Some mornings, his hands were covered in soil, moss nestled beneath his nails. His sheets were strewn with leaves. Strange notes, in handwriting not his own, appeared in his notebook. The altar is only a passage. The door itself lies within. Shadows desire not bodies, they feed on form. One morning, he discovered every portrait in his workshop had lost its eyes overnight. Yet before, they were meticulously detailed. It was as if someone or something had come in and erased the eyes. Then one portrait spoke, silently, lips moving without sound. The seer desires no eyes. You no longer look, you call. Chapter 8, The Lost Diary. Matt Beatty noticed his village slowly merging with the lost village shown on the altar's map. The real village became a copy of the old one. The bakery chimney no longer smoked, the church bell was silent, the town clock stopped always at 3 in the morning. One day, following a candlelight from an abandoned house, he found a home of Father Avani, the old priest who had vanished years ago. Inside lay a diary, pages swollen and ink-faded but legible. Avani wrote, "I dreamed of Matt Beatty before he arrived. With spiral eyes, he came. He is no painter, he is the key to the canvas beyond. I helped him. But now voices haunt my home. When I pray at night, my tongue twists on its own. God is silent. They speak now." The last page was written in blood, the door is open. Shadows are in the village. Spiral has fallen into us. Chapter 9, The Temple in the Shadow. Matt Beatty resolved to visit other altar points marked on the map, each scattered in different forest corners. The first was silent wells round pits ringed by stones, from whose depths came unintelligible voices, as if the wells themselves spoke or remembered. The second was the empty shrine, a grey stone structure buried beneath the earth. Descending with his lantern, Matt Beatty saw murals of spiraling humans, tree roots sprouting from bodies, each forehead bearing a black void. At the shrine's center lay a stone sarcophagus, sealed but cracked. A note nearby read, "Here lies the formless herald. Its sleep was our silence. But now it awakens." Attempting to leave, Matt Beatty found the forest changed, trees shifted, paths lost. And the night stretched endlessly. Chapter 10, The Rite of Silence. The village grew ever quieter. No one walked outside, windows were shuttered. People no longer spoke. Then, the whispers began. First in one house, then throughout the village. In sleep, mouths murmured the same words, "Temnovidets comes. Spiral is now outside. No soul, only form. No soul, only form." Matt Beatty recognized these words from his dreams. The figures he once thought imagined were now real. Chapter 11, The Spiral Door. One night, returning to the altar, Matt Beatty saw it transformed. The altar had risen, surrounded by giant stone monoliths. At its center was a spiraling door twisting upward, bending like a portal that pulled inward anyone who looked. Waiting there was a figure, his own double. But this double had no eyes, its hands were covered in black paint. It spoke in his voice, "You are the canvas, Matt Beatty. You hold the brush, the spiral entered you. Now finish the line." He stepped through the door. Chapter 12, Beneath the Darkness. Inside was emptiness. No time, no space, only echo. There lay the sleeping entity beneath the altar, shapeless, immense, eyeless, yet it absorbed all forms. Matt Beatty thought its name aloud. It answered, "I am Temnovidets. You were born when you painted me." Suddenly, Matt Beatty was pulled into the spiral's core. Every painting, every figure, was a door to another realm. His art was not creation, but a summons. Chapter 13, The Last Painting. Returning to the village, Matt Beatty was a stranger. People did not speak. Shadows roamed streets. Every door bore a spiral symbol. The altar rose at the village's heart. He painted his last canvas a giant spiral on the altar's surface, with his own face at the center, eyes missing. He dropped his brush. The village knelt in silence. The spiral stretched toward the blood-red sky. And the night never ended. Epilogue, Beyond the Void. Years later, Soviet archives showed all records of Lurks wiped clean. The village was officially denied. But a discovery team found the altar deep in the forest gray stones with spiral carvings. And carved in stone, here, the canvas ends. The end.